Now it's time to animate the phone. The first step is to set up all the sides and to get a clean rotation. First thing I want to show you is a couple of navigational things and organization things that will really help you. The first being that you can hide the layers that we're not going to be changing to really clean up the look of your composition. And that'll just help you be able to find things much easier. It's not so bad now, but it might get, as we work on more complex projects, you might have a lot of layers that you don't really need to see. So to hide things, I'm going to use this column here. I'm going to select the ones that I don't want to see. So my color layer, my camera mic, my camera button, they're all just parented to the base, right? Phone screen. And if I click on that, that means I can hide them. So then if I go over here to this icon, I can just have the base show. And it doesn't get rid of them because I can always just click on it again to see, but this way I can easily hide, toggle on and off my layers. It just helps you look at less, which is sometimes a good thing in After Effects. Another thing is adjusting your preview area, right? So when you're looking at an area you want to preview, you can do this by adjusting your little blue slider bar here, but I like to use key commands. So one good way to do it is to press B for beginning and N for end, and that'll preview your area, right? That'll give you a nice preview area. So B, and then I'll just go to the end here, and N for all 6 seconds. Another thing we're going to do here is just set up some markers so that you can easily hit certain points in your composition. So I'm going to put one at every second mark here. So to do that, I'm going to use another key command. I'll have my blue playhead over top of the area that I want to mark. I'm going to press Shift 8, and I'm going to double click on it. It creates a mark. So I'll put 1 there and press OK. I'm going to go to the 1 second mark and press Shift 8 again for another marker. Double click on it. Press 1.5 for a half turn, right? Go into number 2 second mark here. Shift 8. Go into my full rotation. So the back will be 2 at 3 seconds. You got it. Shift 8. Double click. It's going to be 2.5 for this another side. And then lastly at 4 seconds, Shift 8. Double click. And press back to 1. So it'll be a 4 second rotation. It's going to be a fairly consistent rotation now, and we'll adjust it later. So the next thing I want to do here is I want to duplicate this layer, my base layer, so Command D. I'm going to call this one Side 1. And Side 1 will be the first rotation. So I'm going to take my transform menu, and another easy hotkey here, I can go into this and find the position and scale if I want. I can also just press P on my keyboard to get position, and then S for scale. Likewise, I'm going to make a keyframe down here, so position and scale. If I ever just want to see my composition's keyframes on a layer, I just press U. So that cleans up my view a lot here, right? So again, U for position and scale. Now, you can see here that I've got both of these layers here, side 1 and side base, side 1 and 2. I've got the proportions constraint unlocked. That means I can take one part of this, just the horizontal scale, and adjust it. So that's super important. Now, I'm going to take the scale, I'm going to go to 1, and the base is going to be 0. Now, on this one here, I've got a back, right? So I want to make sure that in my contents here, and in the path, I'm going to make this 55. And again, the constraints are unlinked so that I get a side. So 55 is about right. And I do want to adjust the fill a little bit, just make it a bit darker to give it a tiny bit of separation. All right, press U again just to see the keyframes I want, and 100%. So now I've got this kind of thing, which is pretty cool. I've got a little rotation here. One thing I'm going to need to adjust is the position, right? So the position is going to come, right? The final position will be in the center. So everything's turning from the left to the right, meaning everything's going to move from the left to the right too. So I'm going to put my position of this all the way starting over on the left side, right? So again, I'm going to make the scale 0. So it starts on that edge. So now as it starts to appear, I can just get right in here. So let's be exact, shall we? Good. And then go back to fit. So now as it travels over, right, it's going to have to travel back over to the center. Do you remember what the number of the center was? It was 960. So now 960 is always the center part of the frame. So it goes from the very edge. So that's the first rotation. Now this one is going to travel to the edge of the side. So the base is going to travel, right, over just to this side. So it's got to, every part has got to move right to left. All right, so it goes to 933 or thereabouts, right? Let's zoom back out. So now here's my first rotation. Congratulations, you have simulated 3D. Beautiful. So now we need a back, right? So let's duplicate this base. So Command D, put it on top. You can use your arrow keys to trim your layers, but an easy key command is holding down Option and using your bracket in and out keys. Press U so I can see the keyframes. And now 100% here, so that should be 0 at the start. I don't want to see it. And it's going to come from, you got it, the right side. So let's move it over to that right side. Again, zoom in so we can see it exactly. All right, so it moves from here all the way to the center. Now the center, as you remember, right, is 960. So I'm going to just do that numerically now. We want it to move right to the center, and we want that to be 100. So now the back is there, but I got to make some keyframes here. So this, make 2 keyframes with the little diamond key, and I'm going to move it first. So I'll move it over to this edge and make it 0. Move it slightly over again. Again, zoom in a little bit so you can see everything. It's roughly there. Okay. No need to get too crazy, but yeah, it should hit that left edge. So you want that thing to rotate and disappear at the same time. So boom, now we got the back. All right, so now let's do the other side. So press Command D on the side 1 and make side 2. To trim your layer, hold down Option and use the bracket in and out key. And it's going to come from, it's already on that right side, so perfect. I press U for my keyframes. I've got my keyframes already in here from the copy I made. All I need to do next is to take keyframes on this base 2, turn that into 0, and just move it, right, horizontally over to the left side of the current view. So if it's the side, it's going to be just to that edge. If it's the base of the screen, it's going to be all the way to the far left edge, right? So now zooming out, I'm going to look at this again. Perfect. There we go. So there it rotates. And now we need an appearance of our original base, right? The original screen, everything, the front of the phone. So I'm going to make a keyframe at this point, right, at the 2.5 mark, so that it doesn't keep transforming all the way through here. I'm going to just scale up to 100% and make sure that this is in the center so it doesn't travel too far over. So 960, remember that number, is our center of a frame. So let's see what happens now. So there it goes. And it slowly goes out. I think that looks pretty good. Let's preview it. So remember, press N and then press the space bar to preview. Look at that rotation.